This video will show you 3 things that you must do in order to find your purpose in life. I'm going to share with you the steps that you can take in order to do that so that you're finally able to live the life that you were meant to live. Welcome back to another video. My name is Aaron and I help people expand their consciousness. Now, on this video, we're going to be specifically talking about how you can find your purpose and what are the steps that you can take to really get there. Now, first off, understand that you must know that you do have a life purpose, because if you don't, then that almost becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy and you don't actually know that there's something underneath there. But this also has to do with self-worth, with knowing that there's some purpose that you have for being alive, there's some gift that you have to give to the world, and if you start to buy into yourself more, you're then able to perceive of what that gift could possibly be. So this also has to do with having the confidence and the awareness that there is some gift that you have to give to the world. Now, the other part of this is knowing of the mechanism of which we use that with finding our purpose. Now, a lot of times when we think of our purpose, we think of some big overarching thing, like there's only one purpose that we're meant to have in our whole life. Now, I believe that there are times that we go through themes, where there's certain themes in our life of things that we're meant to be doing. Like me, for example, my purpose in life is to be spreading this kind of information. So it could be making YouTube videos, it could be speaking in public and doing some type of seminars, it could be traveling and, kind of networking, it could involve writing, maybe writing blog posts or writing books. There's so many different aspects to it, and there's so many, I do a lot of these at the same time, like concurrently, but at the same time there might be times in my life when I do one over the other. Like last year, all I pretty much did was create YouTube videos. So it all has an underlying theme of spreading the message of whatever I am sharing. Now, understand that that may also be your purpose. There's a lot of people right now that are waking up to who they are, and they're becoming aware of how to share this information with the masses because there is such a desire for this kind of information. So first off, understand that your purpose in life may kind of change as you go through different themes in your life, and know that you do have a purpose in life, and when you start to tap into that awareness, you're much more likely to actually perceive it. Now, the first step to this process, and the first thing you must do, is you must set an intention to find out what your purpose is. Now, this is the way the brain works, is the brain has an intention, or the brain has something that it focuses on, and then it finds more and more evidence of whatever that focus is. It's almost like the brain will look for those answers. Now, understand your heart already knows what your purpose is. It's more about lining the head to the heart connection with having that intention of finding out what your purpose is. So to do this, what you could do is simply set an intention that today you're going to start to see more signs of what that could be. Then what happens is, as you go out throughout your day, your brain will look for the patterns, and you're going to start to find more and more evidence of what that could possibly be. Maybe it's certain books pop out at you if you go to the library, or you go to like some type of bookstore, or you're just on Amazon. Or maybe it's like you're waiting for coffee or tea at Starbucks or somewhere, and you hear people talking, and the parts of the conversation you hear seem to be very relevant to something that you're talking about or thinking about. So understand that your brain will start to pick up pieces of information that resonate with whatever your purpose is when you set the intention. But if you never set the intention, you're not giving it any type of focus. So the first thing you must do is simply set an intention. Just know that as you set your intention to find out what your purpose is, or to at least become more clear to what it is, that as you do that, you will start to find more and more evidence of what that is, and then you'll begin to know more. Now, the second step of this process is knowing and understanding the feeling of passion. Now, passion comes from the heart, and when you align it to the head by taking action and making choices, then you're starting to explode with synchronicity and explode with that level of energy. Now, I'm going to use this metaphor. I've used it before, but I find it very powerful. Think of yourself as you have your ego self and what is fundamentally called your higher self. Now, the higher self is the larger awareness of who you are. The ego self has a purpose, and the purpose is to focus in physical reality so that we can have a physical type experience. And the higher self is something that we can connect to, and we can begin to expand ourselves from that But nonetheless, the ego comes from identity, the ego comes from, and it's not good to be identified with the ego necessarily, but the idea is that we need the ego to have some type of focus in our life to decide what we do want, what we don't want. And the job of the higher self is to figure out how things will happen. The ego just focuses on what and redefines it as it goes along the process. Now think of this as such as following your passion will lead you to finding your purpose. Now what this means is think of your higher self on the top of a mountain and your ego self inside of a valley. And the ego self is coming through the valley and intending to go up the mountain to get to the top. Now the idea is that the higher self is always broadcasting a fundamentally what we could call a frequency or a feeling to the ego self, and the key is that the ego self, all it has to do is follow that feeling. Now that feeling is passion and excitement. Anytime you are making a decision based on and choosing to do things really based on that level of passion, you are moving very quickly in the right direction that is getting you connected to your higher self. So follow that passion. It may be something very settled. This doesn't have to be something that you just feel like blissful 24/7. It could be a very settled thing. You'd be like, what decision in this moment could I make that would be the most exciting thing I could do? Maybe it's you just want to go to the park, or you just want to go take a bath or read a book or call a friend or eat a sandwich, whatever it is. As you become aware of what that is, that's when things will really begin to change, because then you start to build on that synchronicity. As you make decisions based on that level of excitement, you get more and more reasons as to that being your natural state of being. And as you raise your state of being, you're much more likely to then perceive of those things in your life, and you will find out what that is. It will lead you. That will be like a carrot on a stick that will lead you to what your purpose is in life. Now, the third thing that you must do in order to find your purpose is expand your comfort zone. This is very important because a lot of times we're like, I don't know my purpose, I don't know my purpose, but we're standing and we're doing the same things that we have always done, and maybe we know, we're like, you know what, I've always wanted to try like yoga, or I always wanted to do something I've never done before, whatever that is, and unless we actually push outside of that little bubble that we've created, we remain in the consistent auto thought loops of whatever that reality is. So this is more about just having the awareness that you must make a decision to break outside of the current bubble, and that as you do that, you will get rewarded for it. Even if that reward is you knowing more about who you are, having more awareness, but most likely you might find that you end up finding out something about yourself that you never knew before. Like for example, I love to do speaking. Like that's what my passion is for a living. I've known that since I was a sophomore in high school. But the reason I found out about it is because actually an experience got me to lock up. I was in 9th grade. I was given a speech on an English class, I believe, and it was a group speech, so we each had a little bit of a stake in it, and I went up for my part, and I completely bombed on it, right? It was like I forgot what I was supposed to say, I locked up, and there was awkward silence, and it was the most awkward moment of my life. Then from that point going forward, I was so embarrassed by it that I said, you know what, next year I'm going to do forensics debate in high school, which is where you go to tournament and you debate on different like current events and political issues and stuff like that, because I thought I wanted to be a lawyer, but I thought this would help. So I really went through that just to break through my fear. Well, this is what happened. I went to it, and within this first, second, or third month, I forget which one, but pretty early on, I started to become very passionate about it. And then there's something that happened with my voice to where I started to actually speak passionately, and I started to place at tournaments, and I started to do really well. And it became my passion, but I had to step outside my comfort zone to find out what that is. I did the one thing that I feared the most in a way, and then found out that that was actually what I really loved to do. I think that was kind of like the reward for that kind of mentality. So that's something that you can learn how to do as well by just choosing to break outside of the current self-image, break outside of the current little blocks, and find that as you do that, you also expand your awareness. So remember, all you have to really do is set an intention. That when you set an intention, you start to find more and more evidence of it. That as you do that, you can follow the passion, you can follow that energy, and as you do that, you're getting further and further up the mountain. And beyond that, you can make it something where you expand your comfort zone and you break out of the current self-image. Now, if you want to learn how to completely change your self-image, I've created a free MP3 guided meditation that you can find in the description box below. It's something that will help you to really understand and see yourself in a completely new way. We have to change our subconscious mind to really change our life. This meditation will help you do that because it uses NLP, which is neuro-linguistic programming. It uses different terminology that's really able to impact your subconscious mind in a powerful powerful way. It's something that you can download for absolutely free. It's in the description box below. And other than that, as always, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Feel free to like this video if you guys liked it. Subscribe if you haven't already. Also, hit that little notification gear so that you guys can see the daily vids that I do. And other than that, as always, I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace, much love, and namaste.